You ever walk out to check your cattle and find some city slickers slapped a bright orange, no trespassing sign on your family's ranch gate, like they own the dirt your granddaddy bled for? That's what I woke up to one dusty morning, staring at Brenda Carson, our so-called community leader, filming herself for her blog, preaching about protecting property values while blocking the gate my family's held for 70 years. I'm Cole Ramsey, and this is the story of how I turned her power trip into a lesson in Texas land rights she'll never forget. Let's set the stage. Ramsey Ranch. 80 acres of rolling Oklahoma prairie outside the speck of a town called Redstone. My great-grandpa staked this land in 1953, back when a handshake meant more than a contract. It's been in our blood ever since: cattle, sweat, and stories passed down like heirlooms. That gate, heavy iron forged by my grandpa, isn't just an entrance, it's a promise. For decades, we've let neighbors cut through our northwest corner to skip a 15-mile loop around town, linking County Road 12 to Highway 60. It's how folks get to work, school, the feed store, our way of being good neighbors. I grew up hearing Grandpa say, "Land's what you hold for your kin, Cole, but sharing it builds a community." I took that to heart. Running the ranch with my border collies, Buck and Sadie, keeping the gate open for those who needed it. Then Brenda rolled in from Tulsa 3 years back. Bought a 5-acre ranchette with a house that looks like a barn-themed Airbnb and decided Redstone needed her brand of progress. She's all fake cowboy boots and Instagram reels, whining about cow smells and tractor noise. A year ago, she sweet-talked her way into chairing the Redstone Community Alliance, our local version of an HOA, promising to modernize our backwoods ways. What that really meant was turning our ranchlands into a playground for weekend cowpokes who want the view without the work. So when I saw her that morning, standing by her lime green SUV, filming herself next to that sign, my blood started simmering. "Morning, Brenda," I called, striding toward the gate, Buck and Sadie trotting at my heels. "That's my family's gate you're blocking." She spun around, flashing a smile straight out of a car dealership ad, phone still recording. "Oh, Cole, just in time," she chirped. "I'm showing my followers how we're securing community pathways to boost our rural charm." I blinked, trying to parse her nonsense. "You're saying my gate's a public road now?" Her smile didn't budge. "The Alliance has reviewed access patterns, and this route's a community asset. We're managing it to protect property values." I stepped closer, voice steady but hard. "This is Ramsey land, Brenda, owned since '53. That shortcut's here because we allow it, not because you get to claim it." She laughed, aiming her phone at me like a weapon. "Honey, the Alliance has authority over rural easements. This is for everyone's good." That laugh, sharp, smug, hit me like a slap. I could hear Grandpa's voice. See his calloused hands swinging this gate open every dawn. This wasn't just about a sign. It was about some outsider thinking she could rewrite our history. I pulled out my phone, snapped a shot of her sign, her SUV, her self-righteous grin. "You're right about one thing," I said. "We need records of who's been using this land." My trail cam, hidden in the cedar by the gate, had months of footage, including her green SUV zipping through like she owned it. Her smile twitched. "You'll regret obstructing community access," she snapped, climbing into her rig. "The Alliance doesn't mess around with fines." She peeled out, dust swirling, leaving that sign like a challenge nailed to my gate. I stood there, Buck nudging my hand, feeling the weight of every Ramsey who'd worked this land. Grandpa fought off developers in the '70s. Now it was my turn. That sign wasn't just a nuisance, it was a declaration of war. And Brenda had no idea who she was picking a fight with. Back at the house, I checked the trail cam. Sure enough, Brenda's SUV, twice a week for 6 months. Using my shortcut without so much as a thank you. The hypocrisy burned, but it was also my ace. I wasn't just a rancher. I knew this land's bones, its lines, its laws. Game on. The Redstone Community Hall was packed that next Saturday, hotter than a branding iron and twice as tense. 30 ranchers and farmers, faces weathered by sun and time, crammed into folding chairs, muttering about Brenda's latest stunt. She'd called an emergency alliance meeting to push her rural progress plan. Brenda stood up front, in a blazer and boots that had never seen mud, clicking through a PowerPoint full of jargon, liability mitigation, sustainable access, like she was pitching a corporate retreat. She claimed our open gates were tanking property values, inviting lawsuits, and scaring off her city by her friends. "We need oversight," she said, to protect our community's future. That's when Clara Hensley stood up. At 70, Clara's run her sheep farm longer than Brenda's been alive, and she chaired the alliance for a decade before retiring. "Brenda, darlin'," she said, sweet as pie but sharp as a barb. "What law gives the alliance power to block private land?" The room went still. Brenda shuffled her notes, smile faltering. "Well, Clara, we operate under state rural development guidelines, ensuring safety and value." Clara didn't blink. "Which statute, exactly, lets you control roads on land you don't own?" "Crickets," Brenda stammered, tossing out more buzzwords, but couldn't name a single law. The crowd shifted, smelling blood. Wade Carter, a welder who moonlights as a rancher, chimed in. "If you're so worried about liability, why ain't you fixing the illegal dumping on Creek Road instead of hassling folks like Cole?" Murmurs of agreement rippled through. Brenda's voice rose, desperate. "This shortcut's a community necessity. We voted to secure it." Bill Tate, whose hayfields border mine, snorted. "When was that vote?" "I didn't get a notice." Brenda's smile was a grimace now. It was an executive decision for safety. Clara stood again, voice like steel. "You'd best read the bylaws, Brenda, and talk to a real lawyer before you make claims you can't back." The meeting dissolved into chaos, ranchers clustering around Clara, whispering about elections and audits. Wade caught me outside. "She's lost it, Cole. Tried to find me for my grain silo last month." I nodded, staring at Brenda's sign glowing in my truck's headlights. She was digging her own grave, and I was about to hand her the shovel. Monday morning, a crew rolled up, 3 guys in polos from Prairie Safety Associates, led by a clipboard-toting fella named Greg. They parked a folding table by my gate, snapping photos of every truck, cow, and blade of grass, like my ranch was a crime scene. Greg knocked at 8 a.m., all business. "Mr. Ramsey, we're assessing access patterns for the Alliance. Need your permits for this route." I leaned on the doorframe, coffee in hand. "Permits for my own land? Son, my family's paid taxes on this dirt since Eisenhower. You want to count cars? Stay on the public road, but step 1 foot on my property, and we're talking trespass." He backed off, nervous, but they kept at it, filming everything. I'd had enough. Instead of arguing, I decided to draw a line literally. I called Pete Dillon, the best fenceman in 3 counties. "Cole," he said, "you want to close that shortcut? Smartest move I've heard all year. No permits needed for AG fencing on private land." I walked the property with Buck and Sadie, using county GPS to mark the boundary. That shortcut? It cut 400 feet across my pasture. A fence would end it, legal and final. Clara got wind of the plan and called, laughing. "That's the ticket, Cole. Brenda can't touch AG fencing. I'm digging into her election." Too shady as a back alley deal. Wade offered to bring his grill. "Gotta celebrate when that fence goes up." Pete's crew started Monday, hauling steel posts and wire mesh. Greg's team was back, snapping photos, now joined by Brenda in her green SUV, filming like she was making a documentary. They blocked delivery trucks, hassled Pete's guys, even stopped Doc Emily Reed, my vet, from reaching a calving heifer. "Need your access papers," Greg told her. Emily, whose face-down bulls, wasn't having it. "Move, or I'll run you over with my truck." I marched out, dogs at my heels. "Greg, you've got 10 seconds to let her through, or I'm calling the sheriff for blocking emergency care." He moved, but the harassment didn't stop. Every truck, every worker, every move got photographed. Pete shook his head. "This is nuts, Cole. She's trying to break you." I grinned. "She's about to find out I don't break." By Tuesday, the fence was half done. Steel posts gleaming along the boundary, slicing the shortcut in 2. Wade showed up with brisket, and neighbors gathered. Bill, the Tates, even old Miss Ellie, who's 85 and still drives her tractor. "This is real Texas," Miss Ellie said, tapping a post. "You hold what's yours." Brenda paced the road, phone glued to her ear, her voice cracking as she ranted about illegal barriers. Then it happened. A feed truck hit the old turnoff, saw the fence, and had to loop back, adding 15 minutes. Then a school bus, a mail van, more pickups, all rerouted. Brenda's face went purple. She stormed over, shouting, "This is obstruction. That shortcut's critical." Pete stepped up, calm as stone. "Ma'am, this is legal AG fencing, built to code, on Cole's land. You got a problem? Take it up with the county." She sputtered, called someone, But the county had already cleared us. Her war was crumbling. That night, I checked the trail cam. Fresh tire tracks. Not from Pete's crew, green paint flecks caught in the moonlight. Brenda had been snooping, maybe planning her next move. I saved the footage, knowing she wouldn't quit. Sure enough, Wednesday, 1 a.m. My dogs went wild. I grabbed a flashlight, ran to the gate, and saw it. Brenda's SUV, nose deep in the cattle guard, steam hissing, 40 feet of my fence mangled. She was inside, honking, screaming. This fence is illegal. I have rights. The reek of whiskey hit me from 10 feet away. Buck growled, Sadie circled, and my cattle were spooked, bolting across the pasture. I called 911, voice steady. Cole Ramsey, Ramsey Ranch. Drunk driver crashed my fence, stuck in the ditch. Send help. Wade got there first, eyes wide. She drove through it? I nodded. Full speed. Deputy Clara Vaughn rolled up, then medics, fire crew. Brenda ran it as they pried her out, slurring about community access. Vaughn did a sobriety test. She failed. Blood alcohol double the limit. You're under arrest, Vaughn said, cuffing her. DUI, criminal mischief, trespass. Clara Hensley showed up, snapping photos. This'll bury her, she said. Pete arrived, assessing the wreckage. Tough posts, but she took out a chunk. We'll rebuild stronger. The tow truck hauled Brenda's SUV away, neighbors gawking, the night lit by flashing lights. The Alliance meeting that Saturday was a circus. The hall overflowed, every rancher in Redstone there to see Brenda's reckoning. She showed up, out on bail, looking like she'd aged a decade. No boots, no blazer, just defeat. Clara ran the show, laying out the evidence. DUI charges, crash photos, my trail cam showing Brenda's shortcut joyrides. Fake Alliance authority forms, and shady election records. Wade stood up. She moved here, bought a hobby farm, and thinks she runs us? She crashed Cole's fence, drunk, and calls it leadership? We're done. The crowd roared. Brenda tried a speech about misunderstandings, but Bill cut her off. Misunderstanding? You rammed a fence. Laughter erupted. The vote to boot her was unanimous. Clara took over as interim chair, promising to respect land rights. No more harassment, she said, to a standing ovation. Brenda's fallout was brutal. She pleaded guilty, DUI, trespass, mischief, paying $6,000 in fines, community service, and a suspended sentence. My civil suit for the fence, harassment, and legal fees cost her $18,000, plus a public apology in the Redstone Gazette. Her real estate license got yanked, her blog vanished, and her ranchette sold to a quiet couple who actually like cows. Pete rebuilt the fence, beefier posts, ranch-style gates, paid by her insurance. The shortcut's gone for good, but folks adapted. Some say the town route's prettier. Redstone's back to normal. Cattle lowing, dogs patrolling, neighbors helping neighbors. Sitting on my porch now. Look at my feet. I see that gate, new sign glinting. Ramsey Ranch, EST 1953, by appointment. It's more than steel. It's my family's stand. Grandpa's voice echoing through every post. Brenda thought she could bully us off our land, but she didn't know its history, or mine. I didn't just hold the line. I built it, stronger than she could ever break. But here's the question. Did I go too far, shutting down that shortcut for good? Or was Brenda's crash her own doing? Drop a comment. Share your land battles. Tell me what you'd have done. Is this justice? Or just a fence well placed? Hit like if you're Team Ramsey. Share if you know someone who needs to hear it. This is Cole, signing off from Redstone, where the gates stay ours and the land stays free.